So I like to shoot black and white film, and I also like to experiment with what products are out there and to learn the differences between the films. So I've sort of like tried to map out all the different manufacturers and their products and then how they get marketed out to photographers. And this is obviously a work in progress, but I'm far enough along where I think I'm ready to just put it out there for others to use or to comment on. All right, so Adox or Adox is, they've sort of had the same product line for, I don't know, a good 5+ years, with the exception that their Scala 160 or Scala 160, which they also branded as or marketed as Silver Max 100. I think that was just like old stock that they were selling, and then they ran out of it, and they haven't brought it back, and so that's been out of stock for a while, and I think is gone, sadly. Their HR50 or Scala 50, right? It's marketed in two different ways, but it's the same film. It's just modified Agfa Pan 80. Yeah, I don't shoot that much because I don't like the extra red sensitivity. The CMS 22 Pro is like Agfa-Gevaert's high definition pan, ortho panchromatic. Right, so it's like a super high resolution technical film that needs its sort of like its own special developer. I haven't even tried it, but I don't get that interested in the high resolution technical films. So that sort of leaves like the one I would recommend generally to people is CHS 102, which is more of just sort of a general purpose panchromatic, really beautiful 100 speed film. I was really, I was excited about this company when I first learned about them, sort of, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. But they sort of like haven't done much with their product line. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully we get some more products from them, because they definitely have the intellectual rights to a lot of good products. Ferrania has hit the ground running. Right, this is an old company, but they started re-releasing films recently, and they've got three products out right now: an orthochromatic 50, there's P30, which is pretty orthochromatic, and then P33, which is one of my favorite films. P33, it's 160. It's more of a general panchromatic film, and it has quite a bit of latitude. So this one's definitely been one I've been enjoying and am happy to recommend. Really, all three of them. That's sort of what this orange outline is. If you see it kind of throughout here, that's like films that I'm comfortable recommending and shooting myself. And then I'm excited about P36, but it is not out yet. But I think it's going to be a lot like P33, but just additional speed. Which, considering how much speed, I've been shooting 160 out at like 640. So I have some confidence that this is going to become a challenger to Tri-X and HB5. Okay. I wish their prices were a little cheaper. I'll say that's my... Right, they've got that beautiful branding that's... and more silver content. So I do think there's grounds for the higher price, but okay, then there's Kodak or Kodak. Kodak. Right, and then it's important to understand, if you're new to the game, that right, there's Rochester, New York, Eastman Kodak, and they can only market the cinema films. They make the Kodak Alaris photography films, but those are marketed by Kodak Alaris. So it's all made by Kodak, but it's just about how it's marketed. Kodak Alaris has Tri-X 400TX, which I really like, and I'm growing to like it more and more. There's the tabular grain line, T-Max 100, 400, T-Max P3200. I stay away from all tabular grain films myself, except for Delta 100. And then you got, from T-Max 100, you can get these like modified films, Revlogs, Snowvlogs, right, where they take T-Max 100 and then they're doing something to it to make it cool and different. I think in that case, it's like looks like it's snowing or something. Right, so then Kodak has, right, for 35 millimeter. I'm focused on 35 millimeter. This is right XX, also called 5222, and that gets right. Lots of companies buy bulk rolls of the cinema film and then respool it and put their own branding on it. And that's where, but it's nice though that pretty much everybody who does this puts the XX in the name. Cat Labs, I don't think is, so they used to. I think they've swapped out this for, like, they call it Pro now, and we'll get to that later. This one's also all over eBay of people like doing it in their garage. Right, but there's Cinestill, Flick Film, Silberra, 52X, XX. Midwest Film Company, Film Photography Project, XX, and lots and lots of so-called brands on eBay. And then you can also just buy the rolls yourself, right? So I'm going to close these as I go. Harman, Ilford, right? They've got sort of like a generic 100 and 400, and they sell them themselves, right, from the Ilford brand as Kintmere 100 and 400, but then they also will sell these out to other people to market. And this is where it's like, I wouldn't bet my life on this, but I'm pretty sure. And there's always like sort of this idea that maybe they're tweaking it just a little bit to make it maybe a teeny bit unique to each of these right, consumer regions, but probably the same thing. So you've got Kintmere 100, which is Agfa-Photo APX 100, Rolly RPX 100, Oriental Seagull 100, Photo Impex CHM 100. And that sort of repeats itself for the 400 line. Plus, there's like the Cosmo Photo Agent Shadow. There's probably more that I missed, right? Sometimes if you don't know, right, if it's not telling you, right, what this 100 or 400 speed film is, like, hopefully it is. Kintmere 100, 400, or it's a good film. It's right, I have it as recommended. Ilford, there's HP5 Plus, which is recommended by me, and I shoot it all the way out to almost 3200. FP4 is growing to maybe be my I hate to say a favorite film, but it has a ton more latitude than Ilford wants to admit, and it's just a beautiful classic cubic grain film. The Pan-Af 50 and Ortho 80, SFX 200, XP2 Super 400, which you can develop with your C41 chemicals, color dump it in with your color film. Delta 100, 400, 3200, Sort of the Delta line and the T-Max lines are sort of similar, right? And then I like Delta 100 pulled to like 50. All these Ilford products are strong, right? There's maybe I sort of am like interested in just kind of general people candid photography and of mixed lighting, right? And so that might be why I don't shoot like a SFX 200. The Fuji Across, right? At some point, Fuji started pushing more and more of the manufacturing of Fuji Across onto Ilford, and it's gotten to the point where it's maybe even entirely done by Ilford. Right, the box will say made in, what is it, United Kingdom, right? So it's hard to know though, is like Fuji doing any part of the early part of the process around, right, highly patented technologies that they developed that they don't want to send to Ilford, or is it all just done at Ilford? And I can't answer that, but that's sort of it for Fuji, right? It's like they barely maybe participate here, and otherwise it's just a brand at this point. This little trio of companies, I'm going to start closing out things as I move along. This trio of, that's not what I meant to do. Bear with me here. This trio of companies in Wolfen, Germany, they are distinct companies, but it's sort of hard for me to figure out the lines between them. And so I'm just going to group them together and just admit I don't quite understand it. Right. In some ways, Filmotec and InovisCoat handle film for a lot more companies than just Orwo. But yeah. So they're like the Burger Pancro 400 is made by InovisCoat, Filmotec, one of the two. These really low ISO films, on ISO 8, ISO 13, ISO 3. I've never shot them, but I've heard good things about those. And then they make a 100 line, which has a really good reputation. I haven't shot it, but it's UN54. It's a cinema line, sort of like Double X. It's 100 speed. But then it gets marketed for photographers also. And then it shows up branded by several different companies. Mammography, Shanghai, GP3, Street Candy, MTN 100, Argentini, Panax, Silberra 54 UN. And at some point they added like a anti-halation layer. And so there's sort of like, they're always telling you they've got a new film out, but it's just like a minor change of the previous product line. Somewhere in the 400 line, though, right, I do find, and again, I haven't shot it, but I would like to shoot N74 Plus, which was sold as Silberra 54 N Plus, Lomography Berlin, Argenti ARF Report Film Plus. But it really seems like they're struggling with their 400 line. They tried to like evolve it, and a lot of the feedback was not good. And then it almost seems like they dropped this, like they're struggling to make it, and they're like filling in with something called P400, which was like a bank machine film. So I don't know what's going on with Orwo and their 400 line of film, but hopefully they figure it out and they bring back something that's like the N74 Plus and something people can rely on. A lot of the people that used to shoot that have switched over to like double X. There's LuckyFilm in China, which they're marketing out that they have new SHD 100 and 400, and that these films are now available, and and they've been gone for a long time, and now they're back. And I don't think so. So I got curious and actually got one of these. I got new SHD 400, and it is super thin. It is not a 400 speed film. And so then I don't know what these are. They're a mystery to me. I do know people. I found some forums where there were some Chinese photographers saying that these are not new products, that they're available as other companies, and they're garbage is a strong word. But then, so I don't think Foma. I'm sorry. I don't think Lucky is making anything. I think they're just marketing it. Foma Bohemia. I really like Foma 100, which you can get as Arista EDU Ultra 100, Lomography Earl Grey 100, Cosmo Photo 100, and probably more. They have R100. Which one is R100? I sort of forget. Yeah, I forget. Is it? We might have to look that up at the end. Foma 200, Foma 400. Foma 100 is like a classic cubic grain emulsion. Pretty much like your standard panchromatic, like a Tri-X. Has like a touch more red sensitivity. Once you get into Foma 200 and 400, you have a lot more red sensitivity. And you start adding in, like Foma 200 is like a mixed technology film. Foma 400 is quite a popular one. It's kind of like, right, if you don't know if it's like some who knows what film, right, it's probably Kentmere 400 or Foma 400. Foma 400 has more red sensitivity. And I don't know this for sure, but I would think probably a little more grain. Foma 200 you can get it as Arista EDU Ultra 200 and Film Photography Project Frankenstein. Foma 400, Arista EDU Ultra 400, Lomography Lady Grey 400, Holga 400, Cosmo Photo Mono 400, Double Film Daily 400, and Film Photography Project Mummy. Retropan Soft 320. Oh, so they have a couple of films, newish films that are right now only 120. But I really hope that Foma Ortho 400 hits 35 millimeters soon. All right, let's just look up what is Foma R100. Let's go straight to the source here. Oh, reversal. Yeah, so they're right, a little extra red sensitivity and reversal, so it's probably clear base, something like that. All right, then, okay, here's the monster that is, so aerial films, right, Kodak used to have a line too, but they stopped making it. It's harder to get, and if you're getting it, it's probably paying a premium for something that's been stored. But Agfa still makes theirs, and you have to buy a lot of it. But if you buy a lot of it, you can bulk load it and sell it, and lots of companies do. Now, you can start to look over here at all these companies that are selling it. Right, Kodak's. This is also true for the Kodak product line, but these are very thin. They're extra red sensitivity, higher contrast. Right, they're serving the purpose of aerial photography, and they make a 20 speed, a 40 speed, an 80 speed, a 200 speed, and then I don't know if for the 400 speed. I have it here as discontinued. And then there's also this sort of like it gets a little bit hard to tell if JCH Street Pan, if theirs is like 200 that they're telling you to push, or if it's actually the 400 speed version of it. But right, they almost all have the same characteristics. It just starts to be about how much speed the film has and fine grain. But I mean, this list is so long. Silberra S25, Rolle RPX 25, Silberra Pan Ultima 50, Rolle Retro 80S, Silberra Pan Ultima 100, Cat Labs X Film 82, Agfa Super Pan 200, Rolle Super Pan 200, Cat Labs X Film 320 Pro BW, Silberra Pan Ultima 160, JCH Street Pan, Rolle Retro 400S, Rolle Infrared, Street Candy ATM 400, and Film Washi Z Near Infrared. Now, I have heard that these two, sort of what these two are, right? I've heard some convincing arguments that these two are not the exact same film. It sort of makes me wonder if maybe one of them is the 200 line and the other one is the 400 line, and they're giving maybe different directions for development. I don't know. Again, I don't really like this style of film, so I've shot it a few times. I do, but for the most part, I just stay away from it. Then we get into I did it again. This right, Silberra, Astrum, Svema, Tasma. Right, this these are harder to know what's going on. I do think Silberra is making these Orta 25, 50, 80, the U200, and the U400. That they are back up and in production and making these. Right, these are all companies that are once very active and then sort of went away, but now they're to some extent have come back. Again, and it's hard to also tell right, who's making what, who's maybe selling, is maybe Astrum really selling some Tasma film. It's so hard to tell. And I actually, until I sort of dig into this a little more, I don't want to go too far into it. I think the Sanare 1000, right, I do think that's a maybe Tasma T42L. The Film Photography Projects, Dracula, Let It Snow, and Film Love, right, which I think are the same as these films, FN64, Photo 100, 200, which are either old Svema films or maybe they're reproducing, they're producing them again. Right, there is sort of like I don't know that it's happening now, but there's been a sort of like, hey, let's hold on to this film, and then a decade later, let's sell it. It's been in the freezer, and let's sell it. And if I had to guess, I think Silberra, Tasma, and maybe Svema are actually producing some film, and then I don't know about Astrum. So the Film Photography Project would probably be the people to know the most here. Right, Film Washi, they sell some old stock. They have some handcrafted 120 films that they produce, but everything 35 millimeter is from them, like their Washi F. I don't know if I think that's a fluorographic X-ray film, Ortho 100. hand coated. I don't know if they actually produce it. I don't know if that's still being produced. It's hard to know with film washi. They definitely, it's sort of like, it's the, even if it's not being produced anymore, right? They have sort of an interesting collection of older films, right? You start getting into this section of like they're historical, they're not being produced, but you can still get them and they can be in good shape. And so like you got your Agfa-Gevaert Rapid 50, which is also sold as Spur DSX. These like high definition technical films. Spur Ultra R800, Kodak Technical Pan 25, and then some of these Tasma films, right, are historical, but you can get Fujifilm Neopan 400. I would guess you got to pay a premium for that, and it's probably hard to find. Kodak BW 400 CN, right? You got a couple C41 films, and then the Kodak aerial films. Yeah. And then that's it. So I'm sure I got a couple wrong. There's some some I missed. And then, things are always evolving too. So I plan on, continuing to update this and work on it and improve it, and something like an annual cadence of giving an update. So, whew, all right. Take care.